How you doing? I'm the Lyft driver that you called to take home your girlfriend.
Not a girlfriend, man.
Oh, credit card was invalid.
Come in. There you go. Pay yourself whatever and give yourself a nice tip.
Thank you. You're not gonna ask me if she got home okay? This is the point where usually I'd give you a chance to do the right thing, but not tonight. Tonight I'm gonna need your cameras, cell phones, anything you might have used to record what you did to her.
You knocked on the wrong door tonight, Pops.
So that was a clip from The Equalizer 2, and I'm delighted and a little bit overawed to be joined by its leading actor, Mr. Denzel Washington.
Pleasure.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning.
Should we just leap straight in?
Go for it.
Okay. So at the end of The Equalizer, we leave Robert McCall having a cup of tea in a diner, having demolished a Russian crime syndicate in Boston, as you do.
All in the day's work.
Could you just set up for our listeners where we find Mr. McCall in Equalizer 2?
Well, at the end of The Equalizer, he sends out a message that he's sort of available for hire 4 years ago. 4 years later, we see that he's, I think, a bit, I don't know if the word is healed, but more at peace with himself, willing to be around people, still working, still on the job. So when we see him on this train, without giving it all away, he still looks somewhat the top of his head like the guy we know, but he's got some other things going on. But we know who he is, and we know, oh, maybe that's not really his, but he's doing, what is he doing? And he takes care of business, and we cut back, and you see that he's living in this flat with just these regular folks in Boston. But what was intriguing for me about this script, and it's a testament to Richard Wank's writing, was the relationship with this young kid, this young black kid who's troubled and needs help.
What more do we know? Because we knew very little about McCall in the first movie. What do we know more about him this time?
Not much.
Yeah, I was going to say,
and that's okay.
Yeah,
and that's okay. The mystery man comes to town, and we know initially, oh, bang, he's still at work. He's still, doing what he does on the train scene in Turkey. But I think that's a part of it, and I think it's a good setup. Like bang, and then, oh, I don't know, he's a Lyft driver.
Right. A Lyft driver, because we don't have a Lyft here. That's kind of like
Uber?
An Uber
Yeah,
or something like
thing.
that, isn't it? And I suppose that's part of the appeal, isn't it, to an audience, is that he's a regular guy doing regular jobs and yet has this kind of, he's driven to do this kind of sideline. The him being the Lyft driver, the Uber driver thing, I thought was a great way of collecting little stories. It was
Beautiful way in. Great
really kind of
touch
short,
by the
great
writer.
shorthand. Yeah.
And again, the story of the elderly man that he's driving, and how that, in the painting, and without giving it away, and how that all pays off.
Well, that was the thing that was interesting to me about this film, was that you actually saw him connected to a lot more people than you did in the first one.
Right.
And within that, there seemed to be relationships of some kind, of some sort. The most crucial one being with, I guess, Miles, and also the characters played by Melissa and Bill Pullman. I think they're the only couple you see.
Yeah.
In the films, right?
Oh yeah,
it's almost like a surrogate family for them.
And that they're the only people you see that really knows him.
Right.
I mean, really knows him.
Is there? How would you describe him? I mean, is he a vigilante? Is he an avenging angel? Is there?
I don't think we have to. You can call him what you want. He's a mystery. I don't think he walks by the mirror and goes, "Hey, I'm a vigilante." He's a helper. He has certain gifts, and I think he understands he needs to use his God-given gifts. Some of us have to do the dirty work. Nobody wants to see that. We just want peace. We want comfort and safety, and there are those who go out and fight the wars for us, and he's one of those.
So basically, you're leaving that interpretation up to the audience, right?
As to who he is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should I give you mine? Do you want
Yes.
mine? I thought he was like a samurai.
Oh.
Because you had this kind of guy who, there's a Zen element to him. So when you see him on his own, he's reading a book, drinks a lot of tea, which obviously makes him very popular in this country.
One fork, one knife, one spoon.
Yeah. And also there's a ritual to the way he takes his tea as well. And all of those things struck me, of those sort of characters, those samurai characters who went around helping people. They were obviously trying to deal with something. The outside world was quite violent to them. They find that inner peace. So I'm going samurai.
I'm running with it.
Thank goodness. I'm relieved.
No, but that. You're right. You're right.
Coming back to a character, the first time around with a character, you build a character from nothing, and you're introducing him to an audience.
And the writer sort of slowly establishes his rituals.
Right. And I was wondering what your preparation was like returning to a character, which is something you haven't done
Good question.
before.
I mean, because you can't think you know him. You know this. You're an actor. You start asking questions. How long has it been? Why am I a driver? Am I comfortable with that? Why am I comfortable now and I wasn't 4 years ago? How do I deal with all these people? Am I telling them my personal story? Who's in my life? So a lot of things are exactly this. And again, as you know, one question leads to another, and you start figuring it out, or not. You don't or not.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you, actually, because there are actor friends of mine who will compile a history. They'll write it down. They'll almost invite you to hot seat the character. Kind of what school they went to, what they wear, what their likes are, dislikes. And there are other actors who just work off the page. I was wondering, with this project, did you?
Well, it starts with the page. I mean, if it ain't on the page, it ain't on the stage. So it starts with the page, and like I said, one question may lead to another. One why and when and with whom leads to another. But you can't figure out ahead of time how you're going to respond. I was reading something this morning about responsibility, and it had a hyphen between it. It said work on your response ability. Yeah, I was like, okay, I like that. I said, we all I need to work on, forget we all, I need to work on my response ability. So with who he is and who he is now, we see how he responds.
Right.
We see his response ability.
So in terms of preparation then, I mean, there's obviously the physical side, which is, to me, this film, there's more action than there was in the first film, but it somehow seemed less violent. I don't know if that makes any sense.
I didn't keep count, no pun intended, but it's so different seeing the film than when you're making it, because Antoine's style and all the other elements that he's bringing in and all of that, I just see the credit cards and things like that. Then you see what the results it does. You know what I mean? I didn't see all of that. I knew he was going in that direction, but you don't see that until you see it.
I was going to ask you about Antoine Fuqua, because this is the fourth time you've worked with him. So presumably you've built a shorthand with him. But as a producer on both the films, you would have brought him in. So what were you looking for from a director, I suppose generally, but more specifically?
Well, we Todd Black and I have produced films and worked together, and we brought Antoine in on Training Day. And on Training Day, his style, his approach, we had I'm sure I won the Oscar, so it worked out all right. When my producing partner was developing the Equalizer, we talked about different directors, and we sat down with Antoine, and it was like, let's go. What are we wasting our time for? And he had such a good take on it. So we trust each other. There is a shorthand. I leave him alone. I can focus on what I'm doing. He leaves me alone, and we're friends. We work well together.
But also, I mean, you've also directed as well, Fences being the last one, which I thought was wonderful, by the way.
Thank you. And all the more reason to work with someone, forget trust. It was a relief to not have to think about all that other stuff. Just concentrate on the relationships, the actors, what I'm doing, and let Antoine make the movie, because I trust him.
But there must be a bit of your head that's kind of saying...
A little bit. I mean, a little bit. I mean, and don't necessarily have to talk about it. Oh, I see what he's doing.
Right.
I'm over here. No one goes, man, he sucked in that movie, but I bet he was, I bet he knew every shot, or, I bet he was kind to the craft services or something.
In terms of his background, Antoine's background was music videos initially. So that sense of choreography in shots, particularly, is always kind of really interesting. He's got a very kinetic style of filmmaking as well. In terms of the action sequences,
and we had a great editor, Conrad Buff, who cut Titanic.
Who cut Titanic?
Yeah, and cut Training Day.
If he could cut, if he could have cut a little more off Titanic, I think it would have been.
Ouch. I'll tell him you said so.
I think what he did was great. He won a lot of Oscars too,
it worked
right?
out all right.
Yeah. Just in terms of the action choreography, because that is really exciting. Those are the moments in the film where it sparks, etc. And that's a lot of it is in camera, isn't it? It's all kind of real stuff that you can do. I didn't know this wire work and
and again, he's over there doing all that. So me and Pedro Pascal are doing the nuts and bolts of what we have to do, and I don't have to think about all of that. Going back to your question, there was more not looking over the shoulder, but some of that more on Roman Israel because I just come off of Fences,
right?
And then there was a good period of time after Roman Israel before Equalizer, and he knew what he was doing the first time. Don't start directing now, Denzel.
You mentioned the relationship that you have with the character of Miles, Ashton Sanders, who audiences I'm sure will remember from Moonlight. He played the teenage Sharon.
Right.
The middle part. That was the middle part.
Right.
How did that casting come about?
Good question. I remember I ran into him on a red carpet. And after and so somebody had recorded it, and they sent it to me. And after I walked by, he was like, "Man, that was, I'm gonna work with him one day," and da. But I don't remember. I forgot how at first. I never read with him. I forgot if it was Antoine or the producers. They said, "This is the kid." And I'd seen the work in Moonlight. And I was like, "Yeah, I like this kid," and he has that it factor. He's an interesting. He's cool. He's young, and it's all happening for him now, and so it was good.
So he said, I just wanted to be clear that him saying on a video that he was going to work with you someday, did that have an impact?
Yeah, he just happened to be it was an award show or something, and he happened to be on the red carpet as I was walking by, and I knew him from Moonlight, so I tapped him on the shoulder, and he was real cool and everything, and then I was with my wife, I think, and we walked away, and he was like, "Oh," he started cursing. "Oh, blank," that was blank. "Oh, blank." Oh, he was just.
I'm just trying to work out if I say that on a video, what are my chances? Fair enough.
Well, I have to find out if he auditioned. I don't even know he had to, or if he just met Antoine. I don't remember how that went.
I mean, he's great.
Not to say you need to audition now, but
oh, now I have to audition. Well, that changes things.
No, you don't have to. You understood that one,
I did.
Right?
I got that one loud and clear. Your chemistry with him is great. It's a very easy chemistry, and I just wondered whether traditionally on films there isn't rehearsal time as such. Did you build in time to have that rehearsal with him? Just
sort of happened in the gaps. I mean, we did a little rehearsal ahead of time, but just in the gaps and talking every day. And did the lights just change in there? Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay. I thought was that me, or did the lights?
I was just trying to change the mood.
Oh, okay. Or was that a hint? No. First couple of days you're working things out or whatever, but you're talking, and he's asking questions, and I'm watching, how he's working. And I remember one shot, he said, "Oh man, I'm sorry, cut, I'm sorry." And I was like, that's where the director came out, and I said, "Let's see what Antoine's gonna do." But I already knew. I said, "Never cut, son. The mistakes are the best part." So he said, "Yeah, but I didn't do what I said." If you're that aware of it, then you're not doing anything but listening or watching yourself.
That's great.
So he started there, and just let it grow.
What do we see you in next? Are you planning to direct?
I'm unemployed.
Again? You're unemployed?
Yeah, I'm talking with Bob Zemeckis about an interesting project, but right now I'm unemployed.
Directing?
No, not anytime soon. No, just finished a play. 1st of July, Iceman Cometh, and Equalizer 2 during that business work right now. That's over today, and relax the brain for a week and then start reading.
Equalizer 3?
That's up to the people. That's up to the public.
Well, I'm the public.
Yeah.
Yeah, do it.
Well, you know, it's so interesting you said that because of that role that they've written for you. I was like, well, the role's bigger than mine. They said, yes, Denzel, that's true. Because we feel, we know this young man is coming on, and you don't know about the sacrifices that he made with his wife and allowing her to go on and do the play she wanted to do. We feel it's his turn. I said, fine, I'm fine with that. What do you want me to do? And they said, well, that's actually what this meeting's about. You're out. You won't be in Equalizer 3, but...
Short, tubby Indian guy will.
Exactly.
You didn't have to agree that quickly.
Oh, you mean about the short part? No, see? So that's you now. You got sensitive about that.
I'm not sensitive about it. They're gonna switch the lights off on me in a second.
Are they still giving you a...
But Denzel Washington, really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
I'll see you at work.
That's legally binding, I think, isn't it?
Thank you.